All of the built-in objects we've used so far in Ruby define two special methods. These are known as the ToS method and the inspect method, and they can be extremely useful. So let's break this down. Let's imagine we've created a user object using the user class we defined in the previous lessons. We want to print this object to the screen using the puts method. What happens when we do this? So here I've defined my user class. I'm going to create an instance of my user equals user.new, and give it some attributes. And then I'm simply going to puts the user object. Let's see what happens when we run this code. You notice here that we get this strange string. It's a user with a number. This is actually a hexadecimal number. It's got an OX to indicate that it's a hexadecimal number. But actually this is not particularly useful. This is where the ToS and inspect methods come in. To define a ToS method in our class, we create a new method, def to_s. This is the method that Ruby will use when we try to print our object back out to the screen. So let's try and create one. So to define my ToS method, I'm going to create a method called ToS. Then I'm just going to include in my string using interpolation my name, my age, and my email attributes. Now let's see what happens when I run my code. As you can see, I've changed the behavior of puts simply by defining the ToS method on my object. At first glance, inspect may seem the same as ToS, but there's an important difference between the two methods. Let's take a look at what they do. If I have my user class defined in IRB now and create a new user, let's give it the same attributes as earlier. When I hit enter, IRB is actually going to call inspect on the user. Notice now that we've got this same number at the beginning of the class, but you also can see now the instance variables. This is the default behavior for inspect. If we were to override the inspect method, so in other words, we were to create our own inspect method on our object, we can change the way that IRB displays the information back to us. Let's have a go at doing that now. I can create my own inspect method. And in this case, I'm just going to use the user's email address. Now when I instantiate my user, the inspect method gets called and IRB displays its result. So this is a great way to debug or understand what's happening in my objects while I'm in development. Another way that I can use the inspect method is to use the special method called p. In this case, I'm not going to use IRB. Rather than using puts in my code, I'm going to use the p method. When I run it, p is actually calling inspect. Now that you understand ToS and inspect, I'd like you to create your own. Test these with IRB, puts, and of course the p method.